Hey, my name is Jonathan Pitch. I'm 27 years old and I'm from Haarlem. So how did it all begin? Well, it started when I was playing guitar in a rock band, and I wanted to make a switch to house music. And then I suddenly came across Don Diablo, and he was making kind of style between pop rock, hip hop, and house, with Who's Your Daddy and a few other songs. So I started to download Fruity Loops and making some beats and trying to figure out what kind of style I wanted to make. So from there it all began when I started to make house music. Who are my influences and why? Like I said earlier in the previous question, Don Diablo was one of my influences, and shortly after that it was Axwell for me, because I switched from the house to the progressive scene. And then suddenly the Swedish House Mafia came on. So they were like a big influence for my whole career. But then again, I switched back to Don Diablo because I'm at the point that I make house music again. So that's why. The most challenging parts about my productions are the creative part and mixing part. Like you all know, you begin with a small kind of creative part, like a loop, and when you feel you're getting somewhere, you start to create a whole track around it. And then the most important thing begins, and that's the mixing. So that's it for me. Tell you guys about my upcoming projects. Well, they are kind of a bit of a secret because I switched to the house genre. Can tell you just a little bit about it. I'm working on a remix right now for a big artist who's known from Spinnin' Records. That's all I can say. What program I'm using right now at the moment to make music with? I used to work in Fruity Loops before I started on my school. I think it's for everyone different. I started with Fruity Loops, like I said, and I switched to Logic. Many other producers switched to Ableton Live or other kind of programs. But for me, it's Logic because Logic works for me fine. So that's what I work with. What kind of plugins I use the most? It's quite different than all the rest. Normally I use Silent, but last time in my other projects I use the Korg M1. You really should check it out because it's an awesome plugin, but it's not a synth, but it's more a sampler. So it's programmed kind of sounds that are in those synth, and I really use it a lot. So that's the plugin I use the most. So what am I doing when I'm not DJing? Well, I crawl into this master hall, my production hall, my studio, and I start to make new music. So that's what I do, and or I go outside and have some fun with friends, spend some time with my girlfriend, play on the PlayStation, watch TV. So that's a little bit what I do. Nothing special about it. The secret about a good mastering. Well, it's very simple. It all starts with mixing process. If your mixes doesn't, if it doesn't feels good or doesn't sound well, you just start right over again and try to make your mix better. Because mastering is just getting the right leveling of your whole track so that it sounds the same as all those kind of tracks you hear on the radios and on the main stages. That's mastering, and the mixing part is more important than mastering, so keep that in your mind. Well, where do I see myself in 5 years? I think it's all the same for all those kind of producers who are watching right now. I see myself in 5 years playing the main stages from Ultra and Tomorrowland and Mysteryland. And I hope that I can live from my music. That's what I really want. So that's why where I see myself in 5 years. What advice can I give to up and coming producers right now? Yeah, well, the most important thing that I can give you for advice is that you have to stay true to yourself. And don't compare yourself to other artists, because they are not you and you're not them. So just try to make good music and get it out there on some labels, even if it's a small label. Just start somewhere and start building from that point. So yeah, that's the advice that I can give you guys.